My name is Jonathan Goforth, and I've been a full-time realtor for 23 years. I've done hundreds of open houses. I even published a real estate book a few years ago. All of this information is coming out of one of these chapters on how to do an amazing open house. So grab a pen, get some paper. You get all this for free on these two videos. Here we go. Let's begin. So I wrote a real estate book a few years ago. All of this information is coming out of this chapter on how to do just amazingly successful open houses. So I've gone through it. I've highlighted everything that I wrote to make it efficient to put on this video. So a couple of things have changed in the market that we have now compared to when the book was written. Back then we were in a slower market, but now chances are there aren't enough listings in the city where you're selling, and they sell too fast. So if you list it on Monday, you're probably under contract by Wednesday or Thursday. Here's what you're gonna have to do in order to do open houses like what I'm about to show you. First, make it clear you're not gonna present offers until Sunday night. So that means you're probably gonna be listing it during the day on Friday or maybe Thursday night. But you're not going to be able to go under contract in MLS and shut down your open houses. So you're going to want to be planning on an open house Saturday and Sunday. You need to maximize it. Chances are in this market, you're going to be under contract by Sunday night. So you're going to have to make it very clear to your seller when you do this of the timing. You're going to be putting it in MLS going live. That means you're probably also going to have a lot of showings during your open houses Saturday and Sunday, as long as we stay in such a strong seller's market. The second thing you need to do is pick a location that's going to get a lot of traffic. Not every house can get a lot of traffic. So you kind of want a house that's close to the entrance of the neighborhood. Being on a corner is great. If it takes 9 different turns in that neighborhood to get to the house, you're just not going to capture a huge crowd like you could in a different kind of location. Okay, the next thing I want you to do, if you're a pretty new agent, here's what you need to do. You probably haven't done this yet. I want you to go around to some other open houses this coming Saturday and Sunday. Visit 4 or 5 each day. And I want you to listen to what those agents say. There's everything that we're going to talk about, for the most part, is how to get more people into your open houses. There's a lot of things you can be doing. But the big thing that's going to set you apart is how you communicate with the neighbors coming in and the different potential buyers coming in. All the different people that are coming into your open houses are also comparing you to the other open houses they're going to with those agents. So get some practice. Drive around and see how those agents conduct their open houses. Try to stand there long enough that you can eavesdrop a little bit and hear what they say to the other clients coming in those open houses, so you get a feel for the best things they do and the worst things they do. Now, if you've been an agent for a long time like me, so I may not look it, I got in this business when I was 5. No, I've been doing this 23 years. So I was in my 20s when I got in. I am now one of the longest lasting agents I know of. So the market has changed on me with who my competition really is. Now I still do all my own listings, I still have my own buyers, and I still do all my own open houses. Now at this point in my career, I do have a team of agents. Last year we sold over 30 million, but I still do my own open houses. I am still working just like everyone else. Now that's something unique with me being a team leader. Most team leaders are not out there working their business just like their agents. I do. So everything I'm about to tell you, I actually do it, and everything is in this book. So I'm on page 164 of my own book. And so here's what I want you to do. If you've been an agent for a long time, you need to go see who your competition is, because we get in a rut. We start to do it the same way. We get our little routine down, our same system, and it's probably time to do everything I'm about to show you and beef it up bigger. So go see who your competition is these days and what they're saying, so that you know how to react with the changes you need to be making. Now, I want to talk about the remarks in MLS. Here's what almost every real estate agent does in the country. Inside your MLS, you can pull up where you load in an open house. It's agent tour and open houses. That's where you're probably loading the date and the time frame. And that's probably all you do. Now, from that point, your MLS is going to automatically send it to Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia and Redfin and all the national and local big websites, Keller Williams website, Remax, all the different companies in your area. That's probably about all that you're doing. And then you show up, you put a sign in the yard, couple pointers coming in, and you call it good. Here's the first thing I want you to do. In the remarks themselves, so if this is your listing, it's easy. You do it yourself. If you're holding somebody else's listing open, so another agent in your office has the listing, I want you to ask them, will they change the beginning of the remarks in MLS to say, open house Saturday 1 to 3, and also Sunday, open house with that time frame? It needs to be in the remarks so that the general public who's looking at these listings, they see clearly it's open. So they don't just have to look for the list and the little icon that it's open. That alone is going to bring in more people. It also impresses the homeowner that, wow, they're doing open houses, and they're really advertising them because they are also seeing the remarks in MLS. So your mission with an open house, your goal, your primary purpose of being there, out of respect to the homeowner of that house, your goal is to sell the house you're in. That's why you're there. Your goal, your mission is not to just pick up buyers. Your mission is to sell the house you're in. So here's some things that are really important that are actually going to set you apart from your competition. You need to read the remarks the listing agent has about the house you're in. Now, if it's your own listing, it's easy. You wrote the remarks and you're familiar with it. But if you are holding somebody else's house open, a different agent that's in your office, read the remarks they have, memorize them before the open house begins. How many bedrooms does this have? How many bathrooms? Are the windows replaced? How old is the roof? You need to read the seller's disclosure. A lot of these are on the disclosure, and everybody coming in is going to ask you questions. If you don't want to look confused and a little bit like you don't have the slightest clue what you're doing, read the disclosure. I would suggest you have the disclosure printed out with you. Now, you don't need copies to pass out. Do not do that. Do not bring paper copies to pass out. If people are interested, you need to get their email address and email it to them. That's the best way you can get their email address and their contact info. So, remember, your mission is to sell that house. Now, I'm going to give you the fair warning that there's a possibility you are on camera in the house you're having open. You might know it, you might not know it, but it's pretty easy to be filmed and you don't have the slightest clue. So first, you need to be careful what you say about the house you're in. If you're in a house that is very dated, it needs some work, don't bash on the house you're in. You need to find good things to talk about because the house you're in is going to sell. It would be great if you could sell it to a buyer walking in. A lot of the buyers walking in that open house have their own agent. So you're doing a favor for the homeowner and the listing agent to help sell the house also. The other thing you need to be a little bit careful of as you speak. The homeowner could be coming through your open house and you don't know who they are. But more likely, they could be sending in family, or friends. And so you want to make sure you are representing the house you're in to the best way possible. That is your mission. You need to get there early. You would be amazed how many agents, let's say the open house starts at 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, there's a good chance people are parked in the street waiting to come in. They're waiting for the door to be unlocked. But where are they? The agent's out putting up directionals. They're still out parking on street corners, putting signs in the yards. Now it's 10 after 1, and they just show up. They're a little bit frazzled because there's a little group of crowd in the front yard wanting to get in the house. You need to get there early. So you need to figure out what early is. How many directionals do you need to go put out? Is that going to take you 20 minutes? It'll probably take you more than 10 minutes. So make sure you allow for enough time. Then you need to come in the house, get it unlocked, walk through it quickly, get every light turned on. Because of coronavirus going on, the homeowner, you might suggest the homeowner turn on every light before you get there so that the agent is not touching every single thing in the house. Now, what I have been doing is getting there about 30 to 45 minutes early. So you're going to need to let your homeowners know you're going to be arriving early. You're going to take a video. You need to just do a quick Facebook video, walk yourself through the house, and then load it on Facebook quickly. Get it on there before your open house starts, because that's a great tool to get you more exposure and the house more exposure. Now, probably nobody's going to rush over in 5 minutes because they saw this video, but it's a reason to load it and get you some exposure. Now, you can even go live. You can go live on Facebook, but you've got to be there early before clients start showing up, because then it's awkward. Then you're filming people who may not appreciate being filmed, and you can't talk with them because you're live with your phone. So get there early. These are important things that are going to maximize the exposure you get as a realtor with this open house you're doing. This is a big one for me. I'm primarily a listing agent. I list lots of houses. I list them personally. They are my listings. I'm on those appointments. I do the paperwork. I'm in contact with my own clients. A lot of those are my friends and past customers. The first thing my client wants to know as soon as that open house is over, how many people came? What was it like? What did they say? Did you sell it? If I'm having another agent have my listing open, I need to know what happened when they leave the house. So if you're doing an open house for somebody else, text the listing agent, I had 3 people come through today, or I had nobody come through, or whatever you had. Give them the update before you leave the house, because the clients are coming back. They need to know. I've had agents tell me, I'll give you feedback tomorrow or later tonight. That's too long. My clients, my sellers will drive me nuts. They want to know what's going on. So give feedback fast to the listing agent. If this is your listing, text your sellers as you leave the house. I text them, I say, I'm locking up the house. I had 8 people come through. Here's a couple things they thought, so that you're completely done with the open house. It's finished. So I'm ready to talk about the next 4 points up to point number 10. The reason I'm doing these videos on how to do the best open houses possible is because they work. Open houses are one of the best tools to help your listing sell faster, to give you exposure in a multiple different ways, and you will pick up buyers if you do your open houses right. So, how well they work, I'm gonna just give you an example. This example's in my book even. So, I started 23 years ago. My first 2 years were so bad. I'm not even gonna tell you how bad my first 2 years were. I sold 1 house in my first 2 years. It was like It was so bad. Everybody wanted me to quit. Anyway, I started doing things differently going into my second year. And what that was doing is laying a foundation for my third year, which got really good. And then my fourth and fifth years just exploded because of the foundation of everything I was doing in my first and second year. But I see why the turnover rate is so high in this business and why most new realtors quit before they're into their second year. They just can't survive it. So open houses are great because they're almost free. You don't have much expense. And what else are you doing on a Saturday and Sunday? So I did an open house. Actually, here's how I got this. I had a board call. And if you're not taking board, do you really need to? Because it's another way to get clients for free. You're not investing in a lot of advertising. So I got a board call. It was my first listing appointment, actually. I'd never done this before, so I took my broker with me. And she and I met at the house separately. Don't drive together, but pull up separately. And she did most of the appointment. I got the listing. Yay, I got the listing, my first listing. The clients didn't know that was my very first listing, but I got the listing. And so I started doing open houses. I did quite a few open houses in a row. Every Sunday I did an open house. Back then we weren't really doing them on Saturdays yet, but everybody was trained to come out on Sunday. So I did those open houses so perfectly. I did every single thing, all these different points. Even on the next video, I did everything. Here's what happened. A few people came each week. I think one of the open houses, it was raining and nobody came on that one. Over the course of those, 7 weeks or 9 weeks of open houses, on the last open house, a couple came through. They were on their way to go look at a lot that they were about to build a new house on. They had it reserved. They hadn't found anything they liked for sale. They were using an agent that wasn't even in the area, so they really didn't have a lot of time to go look at other houses. They loved the house I had open. In fact, they stayed almost the entire open house. They were there about 3 hours. At the end of the open house, they said they liked it so much, they wanted to buy it. But they did have their own agent. So I asked if I could call their agent. I did, called her on the phone while we were there. That agent then showed it to them the next night, and they did buy that house. They liked how I did that open house so much because they just listened to everything I was saying to everybody else coming and going, and they asked their agent if I could list their current home, which really caught me off guard. I'm like, wow. So I did. I listed their current home. And I even called their agent and said, hey, are you okay with this? They want me to list it. And I did list it. I sold it. Over the next probably 3 years, I sold quite a few houses. They kept referring me to their friends, their son, all these different people. 7 years after that, I relisted the house again that they bought. All of that combined, even to this day, has generated close to $100,000 in my personal income because of that last open house I did when that family walked through. That's the power of one. That's just one success story. I've done hundreds of open houses. Even in the last year, agents on my team have picked up buyers and listings off of their open houses. I sold 2 of my own listings because I happen to be sitting in them. So, let's talk about number 7. Number 7 is important. This is going to go together because now it's going to get fun. Everything we've talked about so far, everybody should be doing. It takes no effort to do everything we've already talked about. Put the remarks in MLS, get there on time, do all those kinds of things. The permission is if you are holding a different agent's house open. This is not your listing, somebody else's listing. And you're going to have it open for them instead. A lot of the things that you're going to do, you're going to want their permission to do it. So these all kind of go together. You need a couple of different flyers in that house. One flyer needs to be about the house. Whether you do a fancy color flyer, you need to make sure your name is on it and your phone number. Now, if it's about the listing, you need to put the listing agent's info, even if it's at the very bottom, because it's not your listing on that one. So you need to put info about yourself, your picture, your name, your phone number. Make sure your broker logo, the company you work for, make sure that's on there pretty big. But at the very bottom, you could say this home is listed by so-and-so, so that there's a reference giving permission that you are holding that listing agent's house open. You don't want to give a false impression that that was your listing, because it's not. Now, 2 flyers. This is what you need to have with you in the house. This is where it gets fun. This is how you're gonna pick up buyers if you don't have the right connection of who's ever coming to see the house with that particular house. So, I'm gonna show you some things that I do. Now this is easy to do on every one of your open houses because you're already gonna have them pre-made. So the only thing you're doing differently on each different open house is a flyer about that house. Whether it's an MLS sheet, don't do an MLS sheet if it's not your listing, because then you're printing out the listing agent's name and phone number. You're never gonna get a call. The listing agent will. So if it's not your listing, print out a custom flyer with your info on it. Now the other flyer, you need something about you. Because if people come to that house you have open and they really don't like that house, they're gonna throw it away. They might not even pick up that flyer about the house. What you want them to do is pick up information about you. So you need things that are kind of like a resume. It's marketing pieces, advertising you. This has nothing to do with that particular house. So these are, now we're gonna talk about this on other YouTube videos, ways to market yourself, things you can be doing. And if you're doing that already, then you've already got things. Here's a flyer. This might be something that I have out. This advertises me being in Forbes magazine from 2019. And I enjoy showing off all the agents on my team. And it just talks about me. And of course, my phone number is always big and my name. That's one thing you can do. Here's something that is something unique. I've done this before, but this looks more professional. So you can make a trifold flyer about yourself. This one's probably 3 or 4 years old. This one is a lot newer. And so I've noticed in the last 6 or 7 months, you can make these on Vistaprint a lot cheaper and a lot easier and faster. So this is a trifold flyer. It's another kind of a marketing piece. The picture is, oh, by the way, this is a free picture. This was a pre-made front on Vistaprint. You can use that for free. There's no copyright. They're giving you permission to do that. On the cover of this one, this is a picture my wife took of me in front of my house. This is my picture. If you go online and you think you're gonna pull up some free pictures from different websites and use them, they may be copywritten and you may get busted on using pictures you weren't entitled to use. So this is a trifold flyer. And this one shows agents on my team at this point when I made this flyer. This is, it's just a really good marketing piece. And I have a family picture. You need to do something in your open houses to pass out about you, because you need people to call you later if you want to capture them as a client. If you're in a city where you're ordering things to mail out or pass out, here in the Midwest, we've got Royals baseball. This is their schedule. On the back is St. Louis. We've also got Kansas City Chiefs here. Since we won the Super Bowl, that'll be a big magnet going out this next year. Have these with you. Have things with you to pass out. This It doesn't matter if they care about the Royals. It's the top of the magnet. It's about me. It's my name, my phone number, and there's a magnet. They can hang it up, and hopefully they keep it. And they call me when they're thinking about selling their house later, and there I am, hanging on the refrigerator. That is the second flyer. It's about you. It's something for them to take with them so that they call you later. And it's something that they think about you when they go on their next open house after yours and the open house after that. And a week or two have passed and they're going to lots of other open houses. You don't want them to forget you exist, and you want them to find your phone number somewhere. This, number 9, is very important. This is where you're going to put effort and time into doing your open house. Now, people used to go door to door. I've been door to door, gosh, that's why I'm in such good shape. It's all my door to door. You used to make a flyer about the house. I would staple my second flyer behind that. It's a double flyer is what I'm passing out when I go door to door. In case they don't come to the open house, I still want them to know about me. But remember, make sure you have the agent's information at the bottom of that house flyer, because that one might not be your listing. This is where it gets really fun. So let's talk about mailings to neighbors. This used to be called door to door. See, this is why I'm in such good shape. It's because all my door to door. I don't do as much door to door because I don't have as much time as I used to. But if you are hungry and you're a pretty new agent, you need to be, well, you can't really go door to door because of coronavirus. People are not going to come to the door. And if they do come to the door, they're not going to want to take papers from you. You could also be violating soliciting. Don't go door to door anymore for your open houses. It's not going to be effective. So instead, mail them something. So for Christmas, you're going to want to ask for stamps. For birthday presents, you're going to want stamps. Mail them a copy of the flyer about your open house. If it's not your listing, make sure you've gotten permission from the listing agent to canvass the houses around that, advertising that agent's listing. They'll love it if you reference them at the bottom of that flyer, listed by so-and-so. But your name and phone number and everything goes on the flyer. Just make sure you get permission from that listing agent before you do a mailing to the neighbors around that listing. In that mailing, you're going to want to put both flyers. Put the flyer about the house, that it's open, and the time frame, and put something in it about you. Maybe a magnet, or maybe a flyer I just showed you. And you're going to want to mail to however many people you can around that house, and just pull up the names and addresses and the tax records around that listing you're going to have open. If you're going to do this, you've got to have enough lead time that you can get this mailing out so it's received and opened before the open house. Chances are the house is going to sell really fast. So you've got one shot that first weekend to do this. So this, if that house goes live in MLS, say Friday, then these are going to have to go in the mail right before. So make sure you're going to need the listing agreement signed in advance, and then it goes in. So this can all be timed properly. Now, the last one we talked about already is doing a Facebook video. This is where it gets fun. It's also time consuming. Let's talk about the Facebook video. There's some bad videos out there. Do not just walk around and hold it on your face the whole time and take a video. It's just horrible. Remember, you're trying to sell the house. So turn the camera around and film the house. Don't just walk around with your face and they're trying to see the house around the back of your head. It's just a horrible video. Show off the video, but narrate it. Talk about the video while you're showing it. Talk about the beautiful custom tile. Talk about the granite. Talk about the windows that are replaced, and the newer furnace, the newer roof, and the hot water heater. And have fun with the video, but keep it professional and keep it short. That's everything so far. I'm going to end this video. I hope you're enjoying it. Please click subscribe And you're gonna please turn on your notifications bell so that you're notified of the next videos. I'm gonna put the second video together next, and it's gonna be really, really good, because then we get into the nuts and bolts of what I love about doing open houses. Thanks.